What's up guys, I'm Nick of CamCrunch, and in today's video I'm going to talk about the differences between constant aperture lenses and variable aperture lenses. Variable aperture lenses are lenses where the aperture will change depending on what focal length in your focal range you are on. The kit lens that you usually get with your camera is an 18 to 55 millimeter lens, and you'll notice that the aperture value that is stated on that lens is usually f3.5 to 5.6. And what that basically means is that when you're in the wide end of your focal range, when you're at 18 mil, you're at 3.5 maximum aperture. So you can go all the way up to 3.5. Whereas if you're on 55 mil, you can only go up to 5.6 in terms of the aperture. You cannot go down to 3.5. Now a constant aperture lens doesn't act this way. It does not change. It stays on the maximum aperture that is given. So with your more professional lenses, you'll notice that some of them say f2.8 and just that, not f2.8 to f5.6, it's just f2.8. And what that means is that they can stay at f2.8 throughout the focal range. The reason why they're able to do this is because they usually have more complex lens designs, more glass elements, and just, more technology put into it to be able to do this. Because these are more complex lens designs, you'll notice that this is reflected in the price tag. These professional zoom lenses that can stay at f2.8 or even at f4 are usually a lot more expensive than your lenses that change your aperture as you go through the focal range. There are a couple of benefits to owning a constant aperture lens. First off is that usually lens manufacturers only invest in creating constant aperture lenses with large maximum apertures. So again, you'll get f2.8 lenses and you'll get f4 lenses. There's even a new Sigma 18 to 35 f1.8 constant aperture lenses. So you'll see that the lens manufacturers, when they're making constant aperture lenses, they're only doing it for low light beasts of lenses. So these lenses can usually take up more light than your average kit lens could that goes from 3.5 to 5.6. The second advantage is that when you have a constant aperture lens and you're shooting at your maximum aperture, so if you're shooting at f2.8 let's say, and you're on manual, so the camera's not changing your settings for you, as you zoom in, your settings are going to stay the same. So you're going to have the same amount of light come into your lens. Whereas if you're shooting manual with a kit lens and you set your aperture to 3.5 because you're at 18 mil and you have your shutter speed and ISO set to something, when you zoom into 55 millimeters, you're going to lose light because it's going to drop to f5.6, and sometimes you don't even notice that until you look at the picture. So that's really a downside. There are cheaper lenses with constant apertures, and these are lenses that you might want to take a look at when you're upgrading from your kit lens to something better. For example, Sigma, Tamron, they all make lenses that are sort of the kit lens range, so 18 to 55. Some of them are like 17 to 50 or 17 to 55, 17 to 70, somewhere along those lines, and they have constant f2.8 apertures, which is a very good option. And because they're third-party lenses, they're not too expensive, not as expensive as the bigger brands out there. Again, there's also that Sigma 18 mil to 35 mil, that's constant f1.8 aperture, which is the first of its kind, which is a great lens if you're shooting in that range, which gives you sort of a 28 to 56 mil in terms of full frame focal length. So that's it guys, those are the differences between shooting with a constant aperture lens versus a variable aperture lens. I hope this video helped. If it did, definitely consider liking the video, subscribing if you haven't yet, and I'll see you guys in the next one.